Hey, good morning. I am a targeted individual, and I just got up of the 5,000 flesh and blood and then other individuals that have attacked me over 15 years. I'm having a morning that's been less torturous than some of mine over 15 years of extrajudicial paramilitary targeted individual status. So the individual out here making noises and whatnot is part of counter surveillance, and I'll try and be professional and not react to inputs or otherwise get angry. I don't want trauma-induced anger, don't want trauma-induced aim to humiliate, don't want trauma-induced, and I've gotten some skill in it that I want to let pass and move on to other things. Wicked humor, satanic mocking, jokes that literally can kill. I've become familiar with some of the weaponization of problem, reaction, solution, where, like, for example, a torture happens to somebody and the psychological and sociological response and even reporting it is like humor on behalf of others, or torture that even reporting or talking about is so shameful what's done to you as a TI, you don't even want to bring it up. If I didn't keep bringing up N52 level magnets or rape codes like were done to Dr. Horton, and then using N52 level magnets wrapped in medical rubber, if I didn't talk about that and then seek remedy myself, I may still be getting rape coded today. So, in the words of a torturer, to flip it on his head, that they get away with stuff in the EMF that it's not really happening in the 3D world. They can cross over and they wake up in their bodies in other locations. But in the interest of RAIN, the Rape and Incest Survivors Network, and all of the horror that is part of the human condition that folks in law enforcement and the FBI have to try and police, and to get back to a 2016 torture episode where I hadn't distinguished yet that people in the electromagnetic frequency are the real people. If they die, they wake up in their body in other locations. And for all the men and women with children and wanting to do proper child rearing, and the shame of being remote torture sexually, so you don't want to talk about it. And I'm a man and I'm 40 and I've been tortured for a long time, and the low chakra area was definitely part of it. Good girls do tell, is what I'm trying to say. If you're abused by an EMF broadcast, another person, your brother, your mom, your uncle, somebody in the community, your teacher, as an adult 60-year-old woman who's being remote tortured from somebody she can't see, good girls do tell. There was a woman that I saw in a Kevin Christian interview at TI, an elderly woman, maybe 60 or 70, and she was talking about getting remote torture raped and rape codes, and she couldn't help in problem, reaction, solution, and even forced facial movements at the time in reactions from people that are controlling her body, and it was not the correct facial expression, but she may have been forced into it. That's part of my noise campaign. It's fire season anyways. I'll try and be professional and not get triggered. I hope the firemen have success in this fire season on the West Coast, particularly if anything happens in Oregon. Yeah, good girls too. And she couldn't help but smile in a forced, that's not really how she felt, and reporting to Kevin Christian, that targeted individual in Atlanta, that she was being remote torture raped. Anyways, it's good boys and girls do tell. And I'm a man. And I'm not superior in everything. There's a few things I'm a specialist at. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to Donald Trump, even though I'm a Democrat. Um, I yield to the have been trying to discipline and um, corral and control psychopaths, sociopaths, and even narcissists for decades. I yield to the United States intelligence outfit, even though I'm tortured as a TI and whatnot in an international context. And I'm not trying to blame Mossad or trying to slingshot Africa or get in a dust up with our good allies in the UK, the British citizens. Hi! I'm really happy for one of three kings that will do a fine job for your country in that transition of power and the changing of the guard. And I'm happy among all the things that I've observed in education and being a TI and whatnot that I'm alive for the changing of the guard for a country trying to wrestle with the trappings of the world and impressing the idea of Christianity on top of a very unchristian world, particularly the EMF. Anyways, do talk about it. And me talking about my rectal torture helped me invent a device to stop it. So I didn't let it fester. And I try to pass that information on to everybody that I possibly can. So it may be looking like more like a good morning. It's been about 5,000. This is basically some of the same structure of the operation that was in Tualatin. And try not to get triggered. There's a lot of MK Ultra like super soldiers that have this hair trigger and they're getting tortured remotely. And then it's coupled with like not only military training, but then seasoned, has seen military combat of all of like, that's quite valuable. It's rare that a civilization has soldiers coming back who cross the Rubicon and need to throw down their armor and be civilians again, for those that know Greek and Roman history or whatnot. But those prized fighters are amazing. There's been a lot of infrastructure that's gone into training them, and there's stuff that's really outside of my control, and I don't want to be made a useful idiot that has NLP problems made for him and a continued hit on a TI for calculated already at speed of thought for sure, like 100 years ago, problem, introduce a problem with me, and then reaction through like the target audience of Oregon or like the United States or internationally for a shelved plan, which was the solution that was in mind all the time. And I'm getting played in no good ways at speed of thought in that way all the time that I'm sort of unaware of, as not aware of all the mind control stuff going on. So watch your reactions. Don't believe your first impression. Don't trust your impulses if you're a TI. And I'm trying not to be a useful idiot. I'm trying not to be a useful idiot, but at the same time I am, because I'm still only a man. I'm inferior to people that have the headgear and can be a monitor by the advantage of the technology. So good morning, morning. This is I switched out an iPad, or a flippy floppy is what I call them, the tablets, the flippy floppers. Spent like $80 on a Amazon Fire 8 HD, and this thing is great. I had a flippy floppy that I picked up the other day that wasn't as well designed. Like somebody with a budget, R&D and staff was like, make it smaller, now thinner. Keep doing it. I want more power in it. I got the time and money. I mean, it's like a half or a third of the size of a iPad or a flippy floppy that I paid more for, and like dramatically more bang for the buck. So good job, Amazon. I made the newspaper comment section too, by the way. For real. That's real. Your world isn't though, and it's a holographic cosmos.